I was just surfing. My nipples are chafed from surfing. I caught a wave. It felt like an hour, but it was probably more like 3 seconds. But I caught a wave.
Good morning, Stephen. It's currently 6:24 in the a.m. here in Hawaii, where I am, because I am amazing.
It is 12:24 here in good old Jersey.
Yeah, I just woke up. These are the first words that I'm speaking today. I'm in Hawaii, and we couldn't say it last week that I was traveling. I mean, I did travel to Reno and did the bowling thing, and now I then went to Phoenix and then flew to Hawaii from Phoenix because Canon invited me. Actually, Canon didn't invite me to the influencer event that they were having for the release of the V1 and R50 V, amazing names, and anyway, I ended up getting the invite anyway to the trip.
Do you know who I am?
Well, normally I wouldn't be going to Hawaii. I kind of swore that off the last time we did that with Canon just because it was so far away.
Yeah.
But being that I was already in Reno, I was already only 6 hours away. It was a 6-hour flight. So I was like, sure, I'll go to Hawaii. Plus baseball season doesn't start till next week.
And this trip is only a few days, right? I think the original Hawaii trip back in the EOSR days, what was that? Almost a week long, I think.
I don't know. I mean, this was, you fly in on Tuesday and you fly out Friday. I flew in a day early because Steven told them, do you know who I am? And then I ended up here an extra day. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is what's happening on this trip. There's not a lot in terms of news. I mean, we'll be talking about the Canon R50 V. I can't wrap my head around the name. It's R50 V. Can't be called the V50 or the 50 V.
Or is it the R50 V?
I know that V thing at the end does throw you off sometimes. So how do you think I flew over here, Stephen, from Phoenix?
Is that a question? First class?
Yeah, it's a question. First class.
Damn right. Again, do you know who I am?
They don't pay for first class. They do just regular peasant class. And I was fine with peasant class because I can get exit row 20 on a big plane, which meant I would have so much space in front of me. I used my I had these system-wide upgrade things on American, and they expire at some point, so I needed to use them because I actually had one expire already, and it needed to be used, and I did. So I got upgraded to the first class part, and it's not as good as when you're flying to Europe or somewhere longer because it's only 6 hours, so you don't get the full treatment of the meal. You don't get the appetizer, followed by the dinner, followed by another thing, followed by the warm towel.
Here's some grapes, sir.
Rub and tug? What? That's a new complimentary service on American Air called Tug Air, and if you require it, you can get one, and it's fun.
Here's some jerk chicken, sir. What? Huh?
Who?
What?
What's that? You want to yank on my gherkin? That's how I flew over. But something funny actually, my buddy Troy is here. He's a big Jurassic Park fan, and I mean, he paid his way, so he's always wanted to go to Jurassic Park. He was in one of our videos that not many people watched, even though it was one of our best videos, where Troy broke out his Jurassic Jeep, and we made a whole set. He made a whole set, and it looked amazing.
And just for context, people, Troy is an insane Jurassic Park mega fan. I mean, he's got, does he have 2 trucks or 1?
3. He's got 3 now.
He's got 3 that are decked
3
out.
Jeeps.
And I forget what he calls it, movie authentic or whatever. It's not just like it looks like the truck, but it's actually like the real tires, the real light on the top of the Jeep or whatever, the real everything. It's very movie authentic.
So I told him that I was coming. He's like, "Can I go?" I was like, "I mean, I can ask nicely, and then you can pay your way, and you could stay in my room. So I guess if they just say you can come to the event, sure." And they were like, I asked nice. I'm like, "Look, you guys can say no. This isn't like a demand or anything, but." My buddy's a big fan of this. Is it all right if he comes along? He's a cool guy. He's nicer than me. He makes people laugh. He gets along with everybody. So it's the opposite of me. He cancels me out. So,
which I usually do.
Yeah, which Steven usually does. I mean, I'll get into the whole thing about the event because I mean the events are always interesting, and when it's an influencer event and not a press event, it's slightly different.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of, look at me, I'm an influencer, which I kind of walked up to one yesterday when they were filming themselves eating oysters at dinner with the V1. I was like, look at me, I'm an influencer. I got behind her, but I'm pretty sure she's 15 and her mom and dad are chaperoning her on this trip.
Oh, wow.
Which is interesting. I don't know what she does. I ran into this guy, TJ. You want to know how his name is? His name is TJAY.
Oh.
That's what his mom named him. TJ has bleached blonde hair, olive skin, 6 foot something. He's got, well, his abs could do some work. He could get some ab work there. I told him when he was posing with his shirt off. He's a he lives in Miami. He might fly a rainbow flag. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure. But TJ is a pretty motherfucker. I'm like, you're a pretty motherfucker. If I was into driving Subarus, I might invite you to the back seat of my Subaru.
If you were a guy.
What do you mean if you were a guy? I mean, no, but you got to be able to look. For as many women as I look at, it's all right to say that there's pretty guys. You got to even out the split, you know, every once in a while, just to say. Anyway, but no, he's cool. He posed for some wide lux photos with a horse.
Oh,
yeah, a horse. I was like, TJ, I'm like, give me this look, Steven. Explain this look. It's not the it's almost the Jesus.
I was gonna say the Jesus Christ on the cross look.
Almost. It was almost the Jesus Christ on the cross look. But I'll get to more of that about what we did at the Honolulu Ranch or whatever, Hapa Ranch. I don't know, wherever Jurassic Park and a bunch of other films were filmed. But when we got off the plane in Hawaii, I had to wait for my bag because I was away for 10 days. So I packed a bag, which I didn't really need to do because I didn't end up wearing half the clothes anyway because I just reuse stuff.
Speaking of packing, you were going back and forth with me. Like, I don't know how I'm going to pack that. I can't pack a teleprompter. I can't do this. And I'm like, dude, pack an actual like checked bag. It's not a big deal. You're going to 2 places for 10 days. Like, just bring something else besides a think tank roller. You're like, I can't fit anything. I'm like, then pack another bag for clothes. Be a normal person.
Yeah, but after you land the plane, it takes like an hour.
Dude, you're bringing so much gear that's pretty much filling up your entire think tank roller for the most part, and you have like a little section for clothes. I'm like, just bring a normal, another carry-on or a checked bag.
I only had 3 lenses with me. I only have an R1.
Yeah, but they're 100 big lenses.
Yeah, but 85-1.2, 24-105, and 10-20 were the only lenses that I brought to to film bowling, and the rest is just gear and clothes and stuff for the trip. But after we landed and we're waiting for the merry-go-round to bring our bags, there's some little kid who's singing Christmas music to his mom. I don't know what his mom's. Sorry, I think they drove Subarus, but he was singing Christmas music, and then he was like, "When are our bags coming? When are our bags coming?" So I'm sitting there. I'm not annoyed because it's a kid, and I said to him, "I'm like, if you count to 10, the bags will start coming." So he starts counting to 10, and when he gets to 10, the buzzer goes off for the bags to show up. I'm like, you did it. You did. You made the bags get here.
For the rest of his life, he's going to be like, I keep counting and they're not coming out.
I don't think he's going to forget that for a while. Maybe that's like one of those things that he'll remember. Like, remember that hairy guy said count to 10 and it worked?
Core memory.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. Yeah. That's the thing with core memories is you don't know which ones are core memories. How was your week at home without me?
Busy. A lot of editing. Dan and I have probably, 6 videos in the can. The Sigma review is the one that I took on, and that is the 300-600 f4, the brand new DG OS lens for Sony and L-mount bodies. And that thing comes in at about 40 minutes long. It is one of the biggest and longest lens reviews we've ever done, but I also think it's probably the most thorough lens review that we've ever done. I mean, you took that thing to 5 different events, from baseball to golf to lacrosse,
soccer,
birding. You did soccer as well. Yeah, you did a lot of stuff with that specific lens, and that should be out, I think, today.
Yeah, we got to get that out. I mean, I'm not sure anybody put it out. Not that I'm worried about who's first with that. It's just that ours is going to be the best, hands down. There's no doubt in my mind that no one is going to come close to reviewing the lens the way that we reviewed that lens.
It is by far, again, the most thorough review that we've ever done in terms of lens reviews. Typically, they're 15 minutes long. You kind of give the gist of it. Here's the outside of the body. Here's a couple sample photos. Done. This one, you really went to town and used it for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks at that point. I mean, you really put it through its paces.
Well, yeah, when you book a trip and you can go do 3 things in Florida and make it work, it's and stuff back here in Philly, the lacrosse, the soccer, the baseball there, the golf and birds. It's like, yeah, who else is going to be able to do that?
And there's one major somewhat flaw to that lens, which you'll have to watch the video to find out. But that is something we kind of harped on in the review.
Yeah, it is one of those things, but you'll have to see that. Now back to, where are we? Where am I? Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Do you know I'm in my 3rd room of the trip so far?
I'm not surprised at all.
Well, so because I had Troy here, I said, look, Troy can room with me. That's not a problem. You could have two beds in the room. That's cool. I don't care. Like, it's not a big deal. I don't need the most extravagant room. But I did say I would like to film in the room with a cool look, right?
Well, what kind of filming you doing?
No, that's later, Steven. That's a different.
That's
with
your
TJ.
guy friend.
Yeah, I beat you to it. That's with TJ, bro. We started with a room. They're like, we got you a suite. That way, you guys, you can have a room, and then there's a room outside, and Troy can have the pull out or whatever. We get there, it's like floor 2 in the outside building, overlooking the parking lot. And
terrible view.
I didn't exactly complain, but I was like, yeah, we have a view of the parking lot. No, I did it nicely. I'm like, we have a view of the parking lot. It's going to be very difficult to make a good video from my room about, anything, because I wanted to use it as a backdrop, right? So I couldn't. So then they moved us inside, and we had a view of Diamond Head. So that room was cool. And they're like, well, how about this? They're like, we can, if you're okay with moving twice, you can move, and then we'll move your stuff on Wednesday, because there's a room that comes available that is like the best room in the hotel. And if you want that, then we could do that. I'm like, yeah, it's no problem.
I don't expect anything less. Best of the best.
Yeah. Best room. So they move our stuff, and I come back from Jurassic Park, and I come into this room, and I open the door. I'm like, oh, they're right. Because after the other 2 rooms and hearing other people complain about their rooms being shitty, I walk into this room, and right in front of you is the fucking ocean and the sunset going down. And I was like, and the whole wall opens up. It's a beautiful room in Hawaii.
The best part is that you complained about that first room not having a view because you wanted to film and stuff in there. And we just got the fix from you today that you filmed in the room, and there's zero background. There's no ocean. There's nothing. It's just inside the room. It wouldn't have mattered where they put you.
Well, it would have, because floor 2 wouldn't have had that beautiful light coming in through the...
It would have still had window light.
No, not in the parking lot. Look, I wanted to film my fix with the background of the ocean. The only way I would have been able to do that is if I had some lights, because I would have to put the lights on me, put the ND filter on the background, and I tried. Everything was just too bright.
Yeah, all of the stuff that I normally have to bring if we're filming on location. Now, I will say I loved your view of you being about 10 inches away from the camera.
Steven.
It's just full frame Jared Head with a little room to the right. I'm like, dude, how are we going to have 2 angles out of this?
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Dan texted me and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. It's just giant Jared Head in the frame.
Yeah, so what happened there, Steven, is
you're blind. That's the issue.
Well, yes, I'm blind. So the remote that I had for the Padcaster battery was dead. Right? So it was like a 2025 battery. But then I'm like, wait a second, where do I have another 2025 battery? I'm like, who the fuck carries a 2025 battery with them? But then I was like, wait, Canon gave us these little tripod holdy things for the new camera, and they came with the wireless release for the Canons. And so I ripped open the battery door because it has a little screw that I don't have a screwdriver for, so I broke it off. And I'm like, oh, here's a 2025 inside here. I'm like, that's smart. So then I put the new battery inside of the Padcaster remote and it still didn't work. So I literally, well, anyway, I stood close because I couldn't see it any other way. And I forgot about the second angle part.
Was it just not connecting to your phone via Bluetooth?
No, it was dead. The remote is broken. The light for power on doesn't even turn on. It didn't even power on.
That's a brand new, what did you use it one time?
I used it one time, probably 3 years ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
Well, regardless, when you guys see this fix, I am up close and personal, and I put myself to the side, but
it's very reminiscent of the R50 V preview that you're also about, 10 inches away from the camera.
Hey, that's how wide the lens goes. I'm testing out the camera.
I get that. I do get that.
It was also easier to film with the R50 V than using an R1, smaller file.
Speaking of filming with the R50 V, by the way, I love the comments on that video that like, terrible dynamic range, blah, blah, blah. It's like, guys, he's not shooting in log. You're under shade clearly, and there's a bright ass background of the water behind you. No camera's going to have that much dynamic range, even if you're shooting raw video at that point.
I picked that spot. I wanted to do it on the beach. But
I just think you probably should have done it all in the sun or all in the shade and not had, because I was surprised at how many people commented about that.
People are fucking morons. I will just be straight up with you. People in the comments are fucking idiots.
And they're expecting like cinema quality footage. And guys, it's a $600 camera.
I thought the fucking thing looked great. I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I mean, you crush everything anyway, so.
I couldn't do it on the beach because the sun was directly behind me, and I wanted the ocean in the background, not something else. Yeah, I could have gone the other way. I could have done it.
The best part is like, and as you can see, I wanted to be here for the ocean behind me, and the ocean's just completely blown out. There's no
it wasn't
ocean.
But it wasn't completely blown out on my screen. I thought I could see it, And I tried to work with the ND. I had the ND, and then, I could have done it on the beach, but then Canon would probably yell at me for being close to people and talking about the camera before it came out.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something.
For those that don't know, usually when we're on these press trips, they typically are like, you can't go in public with the camera, try and be in your hotel room, try and be at the specific events just for the camera. So it's very, very tough to even go outside of the hotel and try and film like you did.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to. They gave me everything early because I asked for it. Because I'm like, if I don't get it early and I wait till a press briefing at 6 o'clock at night and it goes, and sun's down at 6:30, and this comes out at 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. your time, 7 a.m. my time, I'm like, I'll have no time to make this video.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, could I have done it? I could have taken a walk down the thing and done it that way, but whatever. I thought it was fine. The only thing there's a couple of things bad with that camera. I mean, we can go into it in a minute. I'll just give you the cliff notes. The no EVF, of course, and of course, no IBIS. The IBIS thing is a problem. The lack of IBIS is a problem.
I mean, my thing about the lack of IBIS is it's kind of expected at this price point. Now, if it
100%.
If it was $900, $1,000, different story. Like, I know we made a big stink about the Z52 not having IBIS, but that is also almost $1,000 camera. Again, we would have said something major about it not having IBIS if that was the case. But this being a $600 entry-level video-centric vlogging creator content camera, I really don't expect it. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate. I will say the video, the first thing I said to you, I was like, it's pretty shaky and you're not even moving. I didn't think you even had IS on the lens.
I did. But here's the thing that, dumbass commenters make. They're like, a lot of people, they're like, I want everything in this camera ever, but I don't want to pay for it. I want a $649 camera, but it needs to have this, 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 and this. They're like, well, the reason it's $649 is because they make compromises. If you want IBIS and you want an EVF, you buy an R6 Mark II. Right now, like, that's the shit that you get when you step up and buy something else.
I wouldn't go that high to an R6 Mark II. I would say an R7 it would be the appropriate next step up.
No, I forgot that exists.
That has IBIS, that has an EVF, that has dual card slots, that has pretty much everything you would want, but it's $1,500. So again, it's expected. It's like a mini R6 for the most part.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into the specs real quick while we're talking about the R50 V?
No, I want to talk about Pearl Harbor and how I almost got arrested again.
Well, we'll circle back to the R50 V later on, and let's talk more about Hawaii.
I didn't get arrested, but I had something to say to Officer Doofy
figured
at the beginning. Yeah, that's true, Steven. But no, so I was like, I want to go to Pearl Harbor. I want to see it. Couldn't get tickets to go to the Arizona boat thing because you have to do that 6 months or something in advance. Or you could go to the standby line and get a ticket or, a standby thing.
Really? I've been there before. It's been probably 12 years at this point or even longer. I don't recall getting tickets in advance, really.
Like, it was super busy, super tourists, a lot of freaking tourists going out there. So we did we get to Pearl Harbor. I try to walk in, and Officer Doofy there of Park Services with his mask on still, outside in the broad daylight, wearing a mask outside at this point. Like, anyway, I have a belt pack because I have my wide lux and I have the Canon cameras in another shoulder sling, a very small bag. And he's like, you can't come in with that. You can't come in. And I'm like, why? He's like, bad people could do bad. This is an active naval base and bad people can do bad things. And I'm like, that is the dumbest statement I've ever heard.
So you couldn't bring a camera in?
You can bring the camera in, but you can't bring the bag literally my belt pack.
Why can't they just check it?
Well, first off, they don't check shit. So if I was wearing a jacket and I was wearing something under my fucking jacket, I mean, they let people, I almost said fat people in, they could be hiding stuff in their stomachs. You never know. Like, it's like, wait a second. Your makeup, so it's a money grab because now it's $7 to go over to the other place to store your bag and they just making money. And so you get back to Officer Doofy and he's like, come on in. And so you just walk in and there's no security. So it's just like, if I had a gun in my belt, in my waist pack, literally in my belt, you'd never know. A gun with a long shirt, there's no security there. It's just stupid. It's a money grab.
It should be treated like a national monument, like the Liberty Bell, for example. They basically check you like it's TSA and you're going onto an airplane and you walk through metal detectors. They check your bag. It should be the exact same thing because it is I hate to say it, it is a tourist spot. It is a national memorial. People will be taking photos and they're going to have travel bags with them because they're traveling. You know what I mean?
They make women check their purses. It's stupid. It's just like, it's just the false sense of security bullshit that if anybody wanted to walk up to Officer Doofy is not stopping anybody. Officer Doofy couldn't stop a cold. But yeah, so anyway, my feelings with Pearl Harbor is like, we went to the USS Missouri. They charge you $40 to do that. I really thought that this stuff should be covered by our tax dollars because it's a national monument, it's a national park, and it's Park Services, but of course that shit gets cut. So it's $40 for that. Then there's the airfield, and you go to the airfield, and it's another $29 to go into this museum that's like one room, and it just felt like another money grab. It wasn't exactly a thing I would recommend anybody going to do. I would pay more money to watch a documentary that was fantastic than to walk there. Now, I understand it's different for soldiers and World War II veterans, right, who might have fought there. Unfortunately, at this point, they're 90, 100 years old almost at this point, which is insane. And the other thing that is insane, I was talking about my wide lux cameras, Steven, and they're made in 1985, and we're 40 years from there, 2025. 40 years from 85 is fucking 45. It's insane. It was just reality today when I was there. It's just, that was literally 40 years was World War II. But we ended up going to a camera store in Hawaii so that my buddy who was with me, Brandon, could pick up something. It was kind of funny. We went into that store and it's just, I'm kind of famous. And so they're like, hey, thanks for coming.
I saw there were, 4 employees working?
They had a lot of people working. They had good stock. They had really good stock there. They had an R1 in stock. They had Canon, Nikon, Sony.
That's how you're like, no Panasonic, right? Nope.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, Panasonic. They're like, no. Okay, let's get into the R50 V stuff. Hit us with the specs, Steven, because you actually have one with you right now.
I actually have it in my hands right now. Yeah, Canon delivered this. I didn't have to go all the way to Hawaii to get it. They sent it to me.
I have to give mine back anyway.
So we have that camera now, the R50 V. We have the V1, and we have the new 20mm f1.4L lens, the VCM lens, which is essentially the same as the rest of that lineup, the 35, the 24 to 50, whatever. The R50 V is now essentially their current flagship of that V line. It's above the V1. It's above the V10, obviously that camera that I really, really hate. This basically marries the video features of an R10 with the R50 body and the still specs of the R50. It's the R50 guts in a new video-centric body with some video enhancements, some of the cinema stuff, some of the stuff taken from the R5 Mark II. Much different button layout to the R50, though. It's more video-centric, I've noticed. So it's really not the same body at all as the R50. I just thought they chopped off the EVF and called it a day, but there is a lot of different things to this body. Specifically, they now have like a dedicated live streaming button. The mode dial is now all video modes instead of any still modes. The biggest thing for this camera is it's made for vertical shooting. So it has this 1/4-20 mount on the grip side, and the entire...
Do you want to hear something stupid, Steven?
What's that?
It's about that. So it has that there, but when we're out with the influencers, they're putting the side grip thing that comes with the handle.
Yeah,
they're putting it in the regular area and holding their hand sideways with it to do it. I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, well, they're like, but it makes it easier to go horizontal again. I'm like, then why don't you put 2 on there so you look like a bigger douchebag? You could put 2 on there. It's a vertical thing for you to shoot your vertical tickety-tocks.
But why would you be mixing in vertical video with horizontal video anyway? That's my thing.
Don't ask me.
I think it's one or the other.
Steven, they're influencers. And I keep going around and go, I'm an influencer. Of course I redo every take I take 12 times. I'm an influencer. Of course I set the camera down and make pretend that this is the first time I did it. I'm an influencer. Yeah.
So what I find interesting too, when you do put it in that vertical video mode, is now all the info, the vertical info display does go vertical now. I don't know if it was like that in the other cameras where the video mode went vertical. I think in stills it always did, but I don't recall with video.
Yeah, no, it does it now. I don't remember if the old one does it, but this one absolutely rotates and it will put, I think, the arrow in the camera, just like the R1, to know what's vertical and what's horizontal.
Yeah, that's been like that for quite some time, though. I think the R10 and R7, even the original R50, I think might have that. So that's really not something new where it automatically imports like your video vertical if it was shot vertical in the computer. Now this does finally have a headphone output. I like that for monitoring audio. It does now have a tally light. It has the red box, the emphasis around the screen when it's recording, which is nice too. Same digital hot shoe as the R50. And it comes with this 14-30 as the kit lens, which I find interesting because it's a PZ. It's the first time where they basically stripped out the throw of the lens and made it a power zoom, so you can simply toggle the barrel of the lens and that will zoom in or zoom out. It's just a quick little toggle both ways. It's not completely turning your hand to zoom in or zoom out, so you can still kind of keep your framing as you're shooting video. And it also has something we didn't talk about in the preview, a zoom rocker next to the shutter button, so you can use it like camcorder style, zooming in and zooming out and get that almost parfocal like zoom.
I forgot it had that, to be honest with you.
Too.
I didn't even
Because during the briefing, they didn't even mention it. So I didn't have the camera in hands, and I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool that it works in tandem with this lens and zooms in and zooms out. Now, I think this is the only lens that will do that currently. Yeah.
The thing is, the lens is a piece of plastic. It's cheap. It's $330.
Super cheap.
It's good enough. Most influencers or most creators that buy it will not be getting an ND filter because the ND filter is going to set them back like $100 for a variable ND filter to do it right. But the ND filter is a must-have. A variable ND, if you are shooting and vlogging outdoors at all, you want to do that so you can shoot at f4 at the 14 millimeters.
And keep in mind, this is a 22 to 48 millimeter, 35 millimeter equivalent. So you're not truly getting, 14 millimeters. And the issue with this camera is there is no IBIS. So the lack of IBIS means you kind of need to use that digital IS, which then crops in even further, probably bringing you to around 24, 25 millimeters, which is tough if you're vlogging. Now, if you're just doing standard content creation, not that big of a deal. But if you are trying to film yourself, unless you have a giant selfie stick of some sort or giant arms,
unless you're TJ with the longest, sexiest arms in the world,
exactly, you're not really you're really going to be big in the frame at that point.
kind of like me.
So inside the camera, spec-wise, it's kind of, again, the R10 meets the R50 body with the stills and all. Digic-X processor still, dual pixel AF2 taken from the R6 Mark II. So all of that will be just like the R50. It's that same 24 megapixel as well from the R50, APS-C, not full frame. It does shoot same video, full width 4K up to 30p oversampled from 6K. The difference here is that it has 4K 60 and the R50 did not have 4K 60. Granted, it is a crop on top of cropped sensor. So you are getting a decent amount of crop at that point. Do we know the number on that yet? Is it 1.6 or?
No clue, dude. Didn't even get an answer to that. Didn't even ask it.
Now, again, when I say the R10 marries the R50, this is what the R10 had. The R10 already had cropped 4K 60 with that 24 APS-C sensor. So it's very much those specs taken and put in this R50 V. You can record now. This is what I like, 10-bit 422 without needing to be in log, just like the R5 Mark II, just like the R1. It's taking those cinema features and bringing it into their more hybrid entry-level cameras, which is a welcomed spec.
Well, I was going to say, do you know what it doesn't have that I didn't mention because I didn't even think about it?
What's that?
When I was recording, I thought it was going to have a fan built in, like the V1.
Well, keep in mind, the V1's also a more expensive camera. That's a $900 camera, $850,
yes,
something like that?
It's $899 or whatever it is, but remember, that has a lens. So if it comes with both, so that kind of makes sense. But the reason it has a fan is it doesn't have the magnesium alloy body. I asked, and they're like, well, this has a magnesium alloy body, the 50 V, and so it doesn't really need, it can handle the heat much better.
So this does have that high temperature setting as well, just like most of the Canon current bodies.
Which I forgot to turn on.
And so I reminded you to turn it on too beforehand. Yeah,
no, I mean, I didn't, look, when we went out to the Jurassic Park area, you know how much footage I took with those cameras?
I'm going to guess
zero.
I was going to say 2 minutes.
Zero.
Makes sense.
The reason I took zero footage is, one, you have the camera, and if I'm going to make a vlog, I'm taking it to the Phillies game, and I'm going to show what you can do with that bad boy in the real world, and not at Jurassic Park, where nothing was happening that they set up.
Oh, I was going to say Jurassic Park seems way more, but I guess if nothing was happening.
We got a beautiful sunrise on a private beach thing. That was great. But how much footage are you going to get of that? Then they took us around to the valley where Jurassic Park was, the running scene where the things are running after the people at the beginning of it. And it's beautiful, but what is there to film? They had a woman on a horse. They had a chef, because they had some master chef make some extravagant 12-course lunch, amazing lunch. But it took there was a lot of sitting around, and you know me with sitting around for 3 hours between things, literally 3 hours waiting for lunch. And we started at 4 a.m. We had to be on the bus at 4:45 a.m. to roll out, and we didn't have lunch till noon. And so there was almost 3 hours of waiting for them to finish the lunch getting cooked. I mean, it was literally like they brought a whole kitchen there. There was 5 grills. They had sous chefs. They had the main chef. They had servers. They had a beautiful long ass table set up for every single creator could fit around the table.
It's like hosting a wedding at Jurassic Park.
You're right. It was. And the only place there was air conditioning was the bathroom they rolled in. So they rolled in the 2 bathrooms. The Porta Potty Police gave it a 100. I forgot that I even have Porta Potty Police because I would have done one.
Oh, you should have, yeah.
The bathrooms were awesome because they were the portable ones. But no, the Jurassic Park part is gorgeous. Now for Troy, who's a Jurassic Park fan, more than a fan, it was amazing for him. It was all he ever wanted to do was go there. Anyway, the food was very good. That they did, but a lot of sitting around, and I don't like sitting around. That's why I didn't take any pictures, but I did do wide lux photos on the beach with both cameras. I did wide lux of Troy running, some cool stuff. And TJ with a horse without his shirt on.
To wrap up this R50 V real quick before we get back into your Hawaii trip, I will say a couple things that I've noticed quickly using it. Did you check out the Q menu, by the way? How it's kind of slightly updated, how it's all on the right side and you have to scroll through it vertically?
No, I didn't notice that.
Where before with your typical EOS cameras, you have the Q menu starting in like the top left and you have to toggle all the way down to get then to the right side of the Q menu, where this now is just all on the right side and you have to scroll through. It just seems a lot better, and I hope they implement this in future RF cameras. Also, the color mode, they now have this option called color mode that now houses like the picture style and the cinema menu, like log settings. They now have all of that in a single place as well. So if you recall, last week, I think I talked about what this camera needed to fix what the R50 didn't have. It pretty much implemented all of those things. For example, the R50 didn't have log, it didn't have 10-bit 422, it didn't have 4K 60, it only had a UHS-1 card slot. There was no tally lights, no headphone jack, no 4K live streaming, no vertical quarter 20 mount, no vertical info display, no audio in your slow motion settings, so you had to shoot basically silent 120 video. So this camera has now fixed most of those things, because at first I'm like, why not just get an R50? It's less expensive. You get an EVF, you get a pop-up flash, it's got better still features. Why not just get that? But now I see, after playing with the camera and seeing all the specs, it does make sense to exist.
I think it does what it's supposed to do for the price point that it does it. Is it the greatest thing since sliced bread? The answer is no, but it's refined. It gives you nice video if you know what you're doing. You could still put any piece of glass on it, and that's really it. I mean, the people that use it usually throw it into auto. I throw it into manual, and I think it looked fine. Like when I was looking at the footage that I did under the tree, I was like, I don't know, this looks fine to me, except for the lack of stability. Even just holding it on that thing, I could see it. Like when I went to do video to get you B-roll of the beach and shit, which I forgot to redo because I ran out of time before it got dark. I took footage and I came back. I'm like, this is not usable. I can't post it. Like, it's not usable. That's why we tell you that it's not usable.
You're definitely certain that the IS was on the lens, correct?
100%. I went into the menu and it says IS, lens IS on,
okay,
and digital IS I put off because I didn't want to crop my head.
No, I typically keep digital IS off as well. And usually if you're staying pretty static, which you were, lens-based IS is fine. But it seemed like it was not even working. I mean, just the littlest movements you could see, which typically you only see that when the IS is off.
Yeah, there's no way that lens, I mean, it's a $330 lens. It is not going to be the best stability, because you know what, they didn't even be like, it has 5 stops of IBIS. There's no IS, there's no way. Like, that might be the most minuscule amount of stability, because that lens is a cheapo lens.
The question is, do you get this camera or the V1? I think it's two different audiences for the most part.
Different, totally. Well, I'll tell you from an amateur standpoint of Troy liked taking around the V1 because he could put it in his pocket when he wasn't shooting it.
Yep.
And he didn't want to have to worry about changing lenses. And I thought it was cool with the V1 behind the scenes during the preview to show you both cameras working at the same time. And that has built-in auto ND, so the ND is going to come on whenever they need it.
It's just like the RX 100 series. It has that 3-stop ND, which was awesome when you're shooting video.
Yeah. So we'll put that to rest. That's out into the world. You can obviously text us and let us know what you think of some of that stuff, because we have the text line and a lot of people have been texting in. I haven't been able to check it while I've been here because it's busy. I will go through them when I get home and I have a minute to not be here in Hawaii, because I'm actually getting ready to go on a catamaran and go snorkeling in the water. Yeah. Can't wait to see TJ glistening in the sun with his sunscreen.
You really like this TJ guy, huh?
Nah, it's just a good thread to talk about during the podcast. You can keep pulling that thread. Keep yanking on that thread. I'm pretty sure I can see TJ's junk in his pants because he wears those short shorts that are like women's shorts. It's just like, I said to Troy, I'm like, dude, can you see his junk right now? I'm like, I'm pretty sure his junk is right there.
I'm surprised you don't wear shorts like that. You still rock those like 90s shorts over your knees.
No, Steven. Do you want to see the shorts I have for today? I'm not wearing them right now. I'm not going to show you. They're the 4.5-inch shorts I think they're 5.5 inches. You know, if they don't even come halfway down my thigh.
Like boxer briefs?
They're basically that, and my legs are much bigger because of leg day. So I will be rocking that, and they have neon Pegasuses, and they're purple and pink.
I like that you always have to reiterate. Well, my body's changed a lot. You know, my legs are just way too big. I don't think it fits anymore, but we'll see.
We'll see, because it's all I got.
Yeah,
it's all I got. Not like I couldn't buy it.
What's not going to fit is the junk in your in the back.
Oh, the ass. Yeah, you know, my butt. That's from leg day too. It's gotten bigger from the squats. I got the butt that the influencer women would love to have. And I honestly don't know any of the influencers. There was no influencer here, by the way, that I was like, oh my God, it's this influencer. Because I really don't know the influencer world very well, because I don't really pay attention to the influencer world.
I wonder if they think you got a BBL.
A what?
A BBL. Brazilian butt lift. Did you ever hear that?
No, I don't even crop, Steven.
No, I'm saying, I wonder if people think that when they see you. They're like, oh, man.
I don't even crop, let alone I'm not going to cheat by getting a Brazilian butt lift.
Of course. I'm just saying, I wonder if that's what people think.
Well, they can think whatever they want. This is all natural. They can think like an influencer
all
who
natural.
Cheats. Whatever. So, yeah, I got to get ready to catamaran it up, then eat some lunch. Then they've got like a luau for us tonight. And then tomorrow I go home.
What's the weather like? Beautiful?
Fucking sun is shining, 80 degrees, and there's probably a breeze coming off the ocean if I open the big ass door out in the where Troy's sleeping.
I had a bunch of friends that moved down to Hawaii after college and stayed there for, I think, a year or two. 2 or 3 of them actually stayed there forever, permanently. But the ones that came back, I'm like, I don't know how you did it. How you lived there for 2 to 3 years and then came back to New Jersey and Pennsylvania, living with the 4 seasons here. Like, how do you do it? It's beautiful there. I couldn't come back.
It is, but what you notice is there's a lot of people that come here that literally just make a bare minimum to stay here.
Of course.
And that's their entire life, just scraping together a couple bucks so they can stay in Hawaii. Or you come here with a fuck ton. You already made a lot of money and you can do it right. So I want to go get ready. I got to get all that sunscreen on this white ass body because yeah, I'm pretty damn white.
When I was there in Hawaii, I got burnt on the soles of my feet. I didn't realize that was even possible. My feet swelled up so bad I couldn't even walk. And then we went hiking the next day.
Oh, wow.
It was brutal. Yeah. Never again.
Well, I skipped out on the 5:30 a.m. or the 5 a.m. beach walk this morning so I could do the podcast because this is more important. I'm an actual content creator. I'm actually creating the content that needs to be created.
That is true.
I'm appreciative that Canon brings us out to this shit. I usually don't do trips anymore. They're not worth it for the most part. And if I wasn't halfway across the country, I probably wouldn't have done this trip anyway. But it's nice here. It's fun. I'm having a good time. One thing I forgot to talk about is we have these dinners, and they usually put some Japanese people from Canon with us at the table. There is this guy Ace who lives in Long Island, but he's from Japan, but he's like, he can translate for these guys. And I wasn't complaining. I was giving some suggestions about the R1, and he turns to Yoshi next to us. He's like, Yoshi designed the R1. I was like,
wow.
I was like, well, first off, nice job, because honestly, I didn't like certain things at first, but after using it, I do. I find it odd that the on and off switch goes the different way than the R3. Yep. That was a little weird. Mm-hmm. I'm like, there's 2 things I want. I want the flip down screen, so that I don't have to rotate it to the side and it's not good. Go ahead, Troy. You can go to the bathroom. Troy, I'm figuring Troy's has to pee so bad. Troy, come here, say hi. Troy, come here and say hi to the mic.
Hello, Mike. Who's Mike?
Oh, look at that
hair. What'd you think about TJ? Could you see TJ's junk yesterday? Troy, did you see TJ's junk in his pants yesterday?
No, because I wasn't looking for it.
Troy says he wasn't looking for it. That means I'm looking for it.
He's like, what the hell are you talking about, dude?
The reason Troy had to go by is there's only one bathroom in our massive, massive suite, and it's through my bedroom.
Just burn that place down, man. Peasant place.
Worst ever. So we're sitting there with the engineers, and the things I gave is like, I want that flip down screen. You can have it flip out and rotate, but I still want it to go down or up and be flat and parallel. I also said, and this was an ancillary thing to that, is make it a 3.5-inch screen. I'm like, you have such a large bezel, shrink that bezel.
I've never understood why they haven't gone bigger with their screens.
You could just get rid of if they could get rid of the bezel and use a different panel, they would gain real estate that way.
Well, and the R1 is such a wide camera. There's a
is.
lot more
It's a
room on the
massive camera.
R1 than a standard ILC body. So I feel like they could go much bigger than 3.2 inches.
They asked, what would you think? Would you want an HDR panel? And my answer instantly was, fuck no. What do I need an HDR panel for? We're not shooting HDR. And I just think that would be a waste to have an HDR panel. It's kind of cool to sit there with these guys and just throw stuff at them, right? And just give suggestions because they do show up in like 5 years because they're already working. I'm like, Yoshi, are you working on an R1 too? And I just stare at him and he's not allowed to say anything. But
I mean, an R3 too? No, I mean an R3 Mark III because, the R1 is basically an R3 too.
It's good to listen, or it's good to give. They are, all the camera companies are receptive to feedback. Sony does the same thing. We'd sit there and talk to the engineers. Nikon doesn't have trips, so we never talk to their engineers. But it's good to sit there and just talk and hear what's coming. Like, what lens? What's your dream? Like, if you could design a lens, what lens would you want to see come out from Canon?
What about software, like firmware updates? Because I'm hoping they come out with an R1 and an R5 Mark II firmware update with better pre-capture implementation, with better button customization, all the stuff we've been wanting.
Yeah, I asked about that, and they didn't have anything. They said we put out the new firmware, corrected these things, and that's all they said at that point. All right, so I'm gonna go get on my shorts because I have to show off for all these influencers who are in their 20s and think they're hot shit. And then I'm going to take off my shirt and be like, I'm hot shit. I'm 44. Look at this body.
They're going to be like, who's this grandpa?
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes when you're talking to one of the girls and she's like, I'm
Half
24.
your age. Yeah.
I didn't even talk to the 15-year-old girl because why would I? Her parents are with her. That's crazy.
So I assume she has a big following to be on this trip?
I don't know who she is. But they do all the influencer stuff like this, Steven. I'm going to stand up. They do all this, like she's holding the camera and the people are taking pictures and she's like, She's like lifting her leg like, pop and lock. Oh, I got a butt on my butt. It's like, you fucking influencers.
The funny thing though, dude, is that you're that person on most press trips. You're like that influencer style, like taking off your shirt, doing all these outrageous things on press trips. And for once,
Someone's
it's
gotta do
other
it.
people doing it.
No one did anything outrageous. It's just they're doing the.
But it's the look at me mentality is what I'm saying.
Well, when you set up the little tripod thing on the ground and then you hit record and then you walk towards the camera as if you did, and then you change the angle and you walk towards the camera. It's like, it's just straight influencer shit behind the scenes.
You're seeing the real behind. Yeah, you're seeing the behind the scenes.
Yeah, like where they're smiling, then the camera stops rolling and then they're pissed off. No one's really pissed off. They're all happy to be here. I'm just the one who brings the pissed offness. All right, I got to go. I got to get on a phone call back home for something else. And get ready to go swimming, I guess. Thank you, Steven.
What a life.
Yeah, and then I travel.
Then I got to walk
day.
outside in this beautiful weather in this beautiful hotel, take a phone call.
And a long travel day tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
In your first class seat.
What do you want, Troy?
I've never used a bidet before.
Oh, Troy just came in and he didn't realize. He said he's never used a bidet before. There's a bidet. There's an auto toilet here. It's not as good as the one I have at home.
Hot water on the bum.
Yeah.
Nice.
Troy, I could teach you the secrets of the hot water on the butthole.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, not that hot water, Steven. Stop it, Steven. All right, let me get out of here before this degrades even further. TJ,
right.
I said be quiet, TJ. You were supposed to keep your mouth shut.
Who's that naked man in the
Yes,
background?
Steven's on here.
Hey.
Troy's brushing his teeth.
Is
so
Troy
cute.
living his best life?
Troy, Steven says, are you living your best life?
Oh, only when I'm getting 921.
Yeah, well,
What's
he just said
921?
always. What's 921? So last thing, I'm in room 921. So I'm downstairs at the restaurant making a reservation for lunch, and she goes, "What room number?" I said 921, and she goes, "Oh." I'm like, "Yeah." I said the same thing when I walked in the door. Oh, because everybody knows that this is actually the best room in all of the hotel. There is no better room. This is the nicest Suite and all of the room. You can look at my Insta stories and see how fucking cool it is.
Oh, I saw.
It's just, yeah, that was cool. So I bring up other influencers into here and I say, when you've got 15, 16 years into influencing, you too can have a fucking room like this.
You become the king of the castle, just like me.
Yeah. So, okay, I got to get out of here, Steven. Fuck off.
Hey, you're the one that keeps it going. All right. I'll talk to you.
Thank you guys for listening. I'll hopefully be back in the States. I am in the States, the continental states, and that's it. All right, everybody. Jared Polin, FronosPhoto.com. See ya.
Bye.